I met Emily at a charity gala my company sponsored 2 years ago. She was running the event, dressed in a black dress that looked like confidence itself. She spoke with ease, moved with purpose, and smiled like she already knew she'd win. I was drawn in from the first handshake. She asked about my job, about the company, and actually listened. Most people's eyes glaze over when I talk about pharmaceutical sales. But she asked questions, remembered details, and laughed at my dry jokes. It felt different. Real. We started seeing each other after that night. Dinner dates turned into weekends together, and weekends turned into plans. Emily had her life mapped out, or at least that's what I thought. She worked for an event company and said she wanted to start her own someday. I admired her drive. She admired my stability. It seemed like a perfect balance. Then, 8 months in, she lost her job. Her company downsized, and she showed up at my door crying. She said she just needed time to figure things out. I believed her without hesitation. I told her to stay as long as she needed. That was the moment everything started shifting. She moved in a few weeks later, and the change was so slow I barely noticed it. I started paying for dinners, then groceries, then the rent. She said she was applying for new positions every day. I never saw any interviews, but I trusted her. Love makes you believe in stories that don't exist. I told myself it was temporary, that she was just waiting for the right opportunity. Ryan, my best friend since college, wasn't buying it. He said something didn't add up. He told me no one searches for the right opportunity for that long. I laughed it off. I said she was ambitious and deserved to wait for something better. He said she was waiting for something richer. We argued about it for months. But Emily kept our apartment spotless, cooked dinner, and made me feel needed. I mistook comfort for love. I didn't realize she was settling in because she had nowhere else to go. 4 years passed, and she was still between jobs, still promising me that something great was just around the corner. Meanwhile, I was working 50 hours a week, building a future for both of us. I even started thinking about proposing. I looked at rings online, planned the trip to Sedona she always talked about. Ryan told me I was making a mistake. He said the second she found a better meal ticket, I'd be forgotten. I laughed. I thought he was being cynical. But he was. He just saw what I refused to see. Emily didn't love me for who I was. She loved what I provided. Money, stability, convenience. And I was too blinded by loyalty to notice the warning signs. Until the day I came home early. And the illusion I built collapsed in one brutal second. The second year with Emily felt comfortable, maybe too comfortable. We had a rhythm, a quiet routine that looked perfect from the outside. She cooked, cleaned, managed the small things around the apartment. I worked, paid bills, and told myself that's what love looked like. Every night, she'd light candles, pour wine, and ask about my day. It felt good to be cared for, even if something deep down felt off. Whenever I mentioned her job search, she'd smile and say she was still looking. I believed her because I wanted to. It was easier than admitting the truth. Her charm had a way of silencing my doubts. She'd hug me, kiss me, and promise she just needed more time. Months turned into years, and that promise never changed. Ryan kept warning me during our weekly basketball games. He said she was getting too comfortable living off my efforts. He said a woman who really wanted work would have found something by now. I told him he was wrong, that he didn't understand her. He laughed and said, "You're her paycheck with a heartbeat." I brushed it off, thinking he was just being protective. But sometimes, his words echoed when I came home to her relaxed smile. Emily spent her days watching shows, reading magazines, and going to the gym. She always looked perfect, like life had no weight on her shoulders. She said her career in event planning was too specific to replace easily. She said she didn't want to take any job that felt beneath her. I respected that at first. Ambition seemed like a noble excuse. But ambition without action slowly turned into laziness. And laziness wrapped in charm is hard to see until it's too late. Whenever bills came, she'd say, "You make more anyway, it's fine." And I'd pay without a fight. Whenever her car broke down, I covered the repair. When her credit card got declined, I added her to my account. It all felt temporary back then. But the truth was, she was never planning to stand on her own. She built a soft, effortless life inside mine. I became her safety net, her steady paycheck, her silent provider. Every time I tried to talk seriously about our future, she'd dodge the topic. She'd laugh, say we were happy as we were, and change the subject. I convinced myself that stability mattered more than fairness. That maybe this was what relationships were supposed to be. That love meant giving without keeping score. I stopped noticing the imbalance, or maybe I just refused to. Ryan once told me, "You're building a future for two, but she's living for one." I didn't understand it until much later. At that time, I was too proud to admit he might be right. Emily had everything she wanted. I had everything to lose. And beneath her warm smile, I was slowly becoming just another convenience. Not a partner. Not a man she admired. Just the foundation she stood on while waiting for something better. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. The kind of day that starts bright and ends in disaster. Work had been incredible that week. I'd just closed the biggest deal of my career. My boss shook my hand and said, "Go celebrate, Ethan. You earned it." I felt proud, accomplished, unstoppable. All I could think about was surprising Emily with her favorite dinner. She always talked about that expensive sushi place downtown. I stopped by, bought everything she loved, and headed home early. I imagined her smile when she saw me walk in. I pictured her jumping into my arms, proud of what I'd achieved. Instead, I opened the door and heard sounds that didn't belong. Muffled voices. A rhythm that froze the air in my lungs. At first, I thought maybe it was the TV. Maybe she was watching one of those shows she binged all day. But then the noises grew clearer, undeniable. They were coming from the bedroom. Our bedroom. The one I paid for. The one I thought was ours. My hands shook as I walked down the hall. Every step felt heavier than the last. I pushed open the door, and the world split in two. Emily was there, tangled in sheets with a man I'd never seen before. He froze when he saw me, eyes wide like a cornered animal. She didn't even flinch. She just stared at me like I'd interrupted something trivial. The man scrambled to get dressed, muttering apologies. He said she told him she lived alone. Then he ran out without looking back. Emily stayed sitting there, wrapped in the blanket like a queen caught off guard. Her face wasn't guilty. It was annoyed. She actually rolled her eyes. "Ethan, you weren't supposed to be home yet," she said coldly. I couldn't speak. The words refused to form. She sighed, like I was being dramatic. "It's not a big deal, it's just sex. You're overreacting." Overreacting. That word echoed in my head until it burned. I asked her how long it had been going on. She smirked. "Does it matter? You're always working, I have needs too." I felt something inside me shift, like glass breaking quietly. She kept talking, insulting me, saying I was boring and predictable. She called me convenient. Said I was just a safe option until something better came along. Every word stripped away the illusion I'd lived under for 4 years. The woman I loved was gone, replaced by a stranger wearing her face. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just looked at her one last time and said, "You're right, we're done." Then I walked out, leaving the sushi, the lies, and every memory behind. That was the moment love died. And something far colder took its place. The next morning, I woke up on Ryan's couch. I hadn't slept much, but my mind was strangely clear. The shock had burned away, leaving only precision. I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I was planning. Ryan handed me a cup of coffee and said nothing. He knew me well enough to let silence do the work. When I finally spoke, my voice was calm. I'm done being convenient. He grinned and said, then let's make it official. I started with the landlord. The lease was under my name only. Emily had terrible credit, so she'd never been approved. I paid the early termination fee right away. That gave her 30 days to move out. She just didn't know it yet. Then I called every service company linked to the apartment. Electric, water, gas, internet, cable, everything. I requested full disconnection by end of day. Each time they asked for a reason, I said, tenant removal. The truth had never sounded so good. Next, I handled the finances. Emily had an authorized credit card under my account. I canceled it and ordered a new one with different numbers. I changed every password she might know. Banking, streaming phone plan, email, every last one. By noon, she was cut off from my world completely. Then Ryan helped me pack. We moved only what was mine, proof of purchase, receipts, everything. It felt surgical, like removing a tumor piece by piece. We loaded the truck twice and stored my things in his garage. He laughed the whole time. Bro, this is better than any movie. Maybe it was. It was justice, quiet and methodical. By afternoon, I sat at a diner, eating a burger and feeling nothing. No guilt. No anger. Just peace. Ryan asked what came next. I said, I'm going to let her discover what freedom really costs. That night, I turned my phone off. When I turned it back on the next morning, it was chaos. Dozens of missed calls. Hundreds of texts. Messages shifting from anger to panic. Why is the power off? Did you forget to pay the bills? My card got declined. What did you do? Each message was more desperate than the last. I didn't reply to any of them. Not one. By the next day, she was calling Ryan's job site, asking where I was. He told her I'd been transferred to Seattle. He said I was already gone. When he told me, we both laughed until we cried. For the first time in years, I felt light. Emily had taken everything I gave her for granted. Now she'd see what life was like without it. Without comfort. Without control. Without me. It wasn't revenge anymore. It was balance. And for the first time, everything felt perfectly fair. By Thursday evening, Emily finally found me. She showed up at my office, hair messy, eyes wild with panic. Security called upstairs, saying a woman claimed to be my girlfriend. I said calmly, I don't have a girlfriend. They asked if they should call the police. I told them yes, if she refused to leave. That was enough. She left before they escorted her out. When I checked my phone that night, her tone had changed again. No more anger. Only fear. Ethan, please, we can fix this. I didn't mean what I said. I can't afford rent on my own. I'm begging you to call me. I didn't. I spent the weekend in silence, fixing things with my life instead. By Monday morning, she appeared at Ryan's apartment. Her hair was greasy, her eyes swollen, her voice shaking. She looked nothing like the woman who once called me boring. Please, Ethan, I need to talk to you. She stood outside the screen door, clutching her phone. I didn't open it. I asked, what do you want, Emily? I made a mistake, okay? It won't happen again. I smiled faintly. I'm not angry. Angry means I still care. She froze, confused. Don't say that. We can work this out. I'll do anything. You'll what? Stop cheating, start working. Her lips trembled. I'll get a job. I'll pay you back everything. With what money? I asked. You haven't worked in 4 years. She cried harder, mascara streaking down her cheeks. I'm sorry, Ethan. Please, I have nowhere to go. Her voice cracked like glass. She talked about her parents refusing to help, her sister ignoring her calls. Every bridge she'd burned was gone. And now she was standing in the ashes, asking me for water. Ryan pulled into the driveway with a box of donuts and grinned. "Morning, sunshine," he said to her, pretending not to notice her tears. "Ethan, you ready to go check out that condo?" Her head snapped toward me. "You're buying a place." "Turns out I can afford more when I'm not supporting someone else," I said. Her eyes widened in disbelief. "You're really leaving me with nothing." "I'm leaving you with exactly what you brought into my life." "Nothing." She whispered it like the word hurt. "I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of you. You played house, I built it." Ryan looked at me, half amused, half proud. "Let's go," he said. As we walked past her, I didn't look back. She was still standing there, crying, begging, shrinking. The same woman who once told me I was convenient. Now she was the one learning how inconvenient reality could be. It wasn't revenge anymore. It was closure. And the silence she left behind was the sweetest sound I'd ever heard. 3 weeks passed without a single message from her. The quiet felt strange at first, then peaceful. I focused on work, on rebuilding, on breathing again. Ryan helped me find a condo near my office. It had granite counters, mountain views, and sunlight that felt like freedom. For the first time in years, the space was completely mine. No tension, no excuses, no lies. Then one evening, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. When I answered, a soft voice said, "Ethan, it's Jessica, Emily's sister." I almost hung up right there. But she sounded tired, frustrated. "She's been staying on our couch for weeks. She's not doing well." I stayed silent. She knows she messed up. She just doesn't know how to fix anything. I asked, "What exactly do you want from me?" Jessica hesitated. "Maybe you could help her get back on her feet, just until she finds work." I laughed quietly. She already had helped for 4 years. Then I heard Emily's voice in the background, begging to talk to me. Jessica handed her the phone. "Ethan, please don't hang up. I know I don't deserve this call." "You have 1 minute," I said. There was a pause. "Because we had good years together. Because I still love you." "That's not love," I said coldly. "You have 30 seconds left." "Because you're a good man. Good people help others when they're down." "Time up." I ended the call. Ryan, who'd been nearby, started laughing. "Cold as ice, man. I love it." An hour later, the phone rang again. Her voice was shaking, full of tears. "Please, Ethan, I can't do this anymore. I'm trying, I really am." She said she'd applied to offices, stores, anywhere she could. Then she added, "But I can't work retail. It would ruin my reputation." Even after everything, her pride still outweighed her reality. "Your reputation," I repeated. "You haven't had a job in years. Who exactly do you think you are?" She stuttered, searching for an answer. "I'm learning my lesson, okay? I realize now what I lost." "No," I said firmly. "You realize what you missed paying for." She went silent. Then she whispered, "I don't know how to live like this." "That's your problem now," I said. "Welcome to the real world." I hung up and blocked her number forever. Ryan lifted his drink and said, "To freedom." I raised mine back. To never being someone's convenience again. Months passed. I got promoted, got happier, and started seeing someone new. Her name was Lily. Independent, honest, the opposite of everything Emily pretended to be. One evening, I saw Emily again at a grocery store. She was counting coupons, pale, quiet, invisible. When she looked up, she froze. "Hi, Ethan," she said softly. I smiled politely. "Take care, Emily," and walked away feeling nothing at all. Not anger. Not pity. Just peace. Months turned into a year, and life finally felt normal again. My home was quiet, my heart steady, my mind clear. I no longer replayed that day, or her words in my head. I stopped wondering what she was doing, where she ended up. Peace had replaced curiosity. Ryan got married. I got promoted, and everything just aligned. Lily and I built something real, simple, and honest. No games. No hidden debts. Just balance. Sometimes I drive past that old apartment building. The one where everything fell apart. It doesn't hurt anymore. It just reminds me of how far I've come. Every broken thing in my life had led me here. To independence. To calm. To self-respect. And as for Emily, she became a lesson, not a memory. A reminder that love without effort is just dependency. That some people don't lose you by accident. They lose you by design. In the end, I didn't need revenge. I only needed distance. Because when I stopped paying for her comfort, the trash took itself out.